Well, good morning, everybody. Damn, I love that entrance. I love being here. I'm so honored to be back. And, when you come to the Building Trades Convention and you get that kind of escort with your great union members back home, there's nothing that motivates you more than that. A little bit of AC/DC Back in Black is also good, right? So thank you very much. I am truly, truly honored to be able to say a few words to all of you this morning. And my words today are really about gratitude and your leadership. And I look at the leadership here. I've been honored to call a number of your leaders friends. Had a beer with many of them, which is also important in this town. And but gratitude for some of the big things that we have gotten done to strengthen Alaska, strengthen America, and strengthen working families in our great nation. So let me begin by acknowledging the leadership here. So many of you, as I mentioned, Sean McGarvey, who I consider a good friend, Brendan Bishop, and the other building trades leaders, so many of the leaders here, thanks for all that you do. And I didn't think he was going to be here today, this morning. I'm glad he is. I'm going to do a special shout out to my friend Terry Sullivan for his decades of leadership at LIUNA. They broke the mold with this Irishman, so how about a round of applause for him and his great leadership. Like Sean, I consider Terry a good friend, and we have all accomplished a lot together. So I look forward and want to congratulate Brett for his leadership as he assumes the mantle of LIUNA leadership. I also want to do a shout out to my Alaska escorts, many of whom I consider good friends. I got a long list: Joshua, Jake, Brandon, Pete, Doug, Bronson, Tim, two Tims, Everett, the ladies who escorted me. We got a lot of tough Americans in this room. One of the things I love about the building trades, but the Alaskans here are a special breed of tough. Regularly building America's energy infrastructure in 40 below zero. Thank you guys and ladies for the honor of the escort. Now, thank you. Now, one of the things that I've learned and I love about the building trades is that it's often a family affair. Dads, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, all serving with pride generation after generation, kind of like the military. So I wanted to start my remarks with a little bit of my own proud union family history. You see there's a picture of that guy up there. It's a handsome looking guy. That's actually my great-grandfather, Frank Sullivan, who was one of the IBEW's co-founders. Yes. And you see that quote there: when my great-grandfather passed away, the IBEW wrote my great-grandmother a beautiful letter. One of the lines in there said, "His record as a militant union man has seldom been surpassed." Now, I will say this record, if you read the IBEW's history, is somewhat controversial. As the members know, after the start of the IBEW, over 100 years ago, there was a major split in the union, tore the union apart for almost a decade. The official IBEW history, and I've read it just recently last night in my office, says it was started by my grandfather, who was an outside lineman, and a guy named Peter Collins, who was an inside wireman, where they, at the union headquarters, and they, quote, almost came to blows. This is the official IBEW history. The Sullivan family lore is that they actually did come to blows in that office, and my great-grandfather won that brawl. But it caused a split in the union for about a decade, so I apologize for that fight. But think about it: two Irish guys in the building trades getting into a brawl. Sean, that's never happened, right? Terry? I'm just kidding. But but I'm sure that's part of the finest tradition of the union trades in many ways. So anyways, I was honored to visit the IBEW headquarters in DC last year. President Lonnie Stevenson presented me this book, and it had an inscription that he put in there: "Senator, you come from a proud bloodline of union leaders," and I am very, very proud of that. So my great-grandfather instilled into his children, his children's children, and into me the value of Americans who build our country, respect unions, and importantly, fight for our country. Like I said, this is a speech that I wanted to give this morning about gratitude and accomplishment. So let me talk about the three areas where I am so grateful to all of you and what you've done. And Sean mentioned it already, but in Alaska, it's willow, 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 willow. Now, our state is known for its natural beauty, but less is known about our man-made wonders. Ice roads that leave no imprint on the tundra when we're building energy projects. Highways slicing through the treacherous mountain passes. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline, 800 miles of steel pipeline crossing 3 mountain ranges, more than 30 major rivers and streams. It is a union-built marvel. So I got another slide here. This Willow project happened really against all odds, let's face it, with an administration that's not always so friendly to energy projects, big energy projects. This building project happened because of you. This building project happened because of the leadership here. I have no doubt about it. Think about it. Sean already mentioned it's going to be 2,500 construction jobs that we already started, 75% which will be building trades union jobs, one of the biggest energy projects in the country. Peak production, almost 200,000 barrels a day, $17 billion in revenues, highest environmental standards in the world. And like I mentioned, how did this happen? The leadership here played the critical role. I'm holding right now literally dozens of letters. And to some of the leaders here, you guys know, I burned up the phone lines, calling Terry, calling Sean, calling James, others. Hey, you got to help on Will. You got to press the president. All right, Senator, we'll do another letter. We'll do another letter. That's one of Sean's numerous letters. The last time when we were getting close to it, we had this final big meeting with the president in the Oval Office on pressing on Willow. I called Terry. I go, I need one more letter. Senator, I was just on Air Force One with the president. I spoke to him for 40 minutes on Willow. I'm like, damn. So thank you, all you guys, again, and I'm sorry I bugged the hell out of you on this, but it would not have happened, literally. There's no way in hell this would have happened without the great support of the building trades, the leadership here. So I want to thank you one more time, all you guys. Second, another area of gratitude from me and accomplishment is this issue that I know you guys care about. Sometimes people think, oh, that's wonky, it's boring, but it's not. It's critical. And that's the whole issue of permitting reform. And it's a critical issue that, again, I've had the honor of working with your leadership on. Why does this matter so much? Well, look, we all know in America, we used to build things, huge things, on time, on budget, giant issues, giant building. Look at this picture. I love this picture. That's the famous picture of the men and women who are building the Empire State Building. Union built, by the way. I'm not sure OSHA would have liked that picture if you look. Not a lot of safety going on up there. 410 days to build the Empire State Building, 16 months to build the Pentagon. Closer to home, the 1,700-mile Alaska-Canada highway through some of the most rugged terrain in the world, built in 11 months. And as I mentioned, the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, think about this, 70,000 sections of 48-inch wide pipe joined and laid in 70,000 sections across 3 mountain ranges, 800 riverbeds, tundra, forests, lakes, the Arctic Ocean to the Pacific, built in less than 3 years because of all of you. I mean, we know what we're doing in America when we build stuff, right? And it's because of you. But the problem is right now we have a broken permitting system, and this is the problem of both parties. The Government Accountability Office did a study on highways. It now takes 9 to 19 years to build a highway in America. This is an issue, like I said, I'm obsessed about. We had a hearing on airport infrastructure in the Commerce Committee a couple years ago. Some of you know the Seattle-Tacoma Airport expanded a new runway. They built a new runway. I asked the head of that airport, hey, how long did it take you to build that new runway? He said 3 years. All right, seemed kind of long to me, but I'm not in the construction trades like you guys. How long did it take you to get the permits to build that, the federal permits? 15 years. Then he said to me, Senator, I believe if you take the time to build it and permit it, that the ancient Egyptians would have built the pyramids in a quicker amount of time. And Alaska, unfortunately, is ground zero for this permitting craziness. We had a gold mine in Alaska that many built, union built, great wages right now, 400 workers there, over $110,000 average wage. With the litigation, it took 20 years to permit this gold mine, the Kensington mine. Think about the jobs that that's killing. So, what happened where I'm thankful? Well, I will tell you this. A lot of us, and you guys are the reasons it happened, a lot of us voted for, including me, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Huge accomplishment. We got some decent permitting reform in that legislation. That's going to be a generational legislation that's going to keep building trades, jobs coming to our country. But after we passed it, the White House issued new permitting rules that would make it harder to build. Harder to build. I remember calling these guys, saying, what are you doing? We just got this accomplishment. Why are you making it harder to build the infrastructure bill, particularly for energy projects? Well, this is a battle that's happening in our country. You guys know it. You got what I say, certain radical environmental groups who don't want to build anything, and the men and women represented in this room and this leadership who want to build stuff. So what we were able to do, if you go back one slide, we were able to get a huge group led by so many of you here. Got that slide up for the...
I killed that slide.
You killed that slide? There it is. That slide. With many of our union leaders here that said we're going to pass a resolution that rescinds this rule, that we can't have a permitting system that doesn't help. And so guess what? In a bipartisan way, again, led by the leadership here, and I'm so thankful, we are able to do that, to send a message that we need permitting reform, helps the country, helps us build stuff, and helps our workers. So thank you very much for that. That was a big victory on building reform. So I just want to end by saying these accomplishments make us stronger. Resource development, permitting reform that brings projects online more quickly. But I want to mention one other thing and another area of gratitude that makes us stronger, and that's support for our military. And it's not just support for our military, it's being part of our military. You know, I mentioned my great-grandfather. He had 4 sons who fought in World War II, my great-uncles. And we have veterans that are a key part of the groups represented here. Terry O'Sullivan's father was a Marine, fought in the Chosin Reservoir, one of the most famous battles. So I want to thank all of you, and if you're a veteran or a son or daughter or brother or sister of a veteran, can you please stand and be acknowledged, because the trades do so much to support our veterans. Thank you to all our veterans. Yeah, look how many there are. So this is one of the areas that I'm committed to working closer with all of you, the relationship between our veterans and our unions. You have all done great work on so many areas. Helmets to hard hats is just one of many, and I just want to thank all of you. You know, I'm a big advocate for all of your apprentice programs. On the Republican side, leading the efforts on that. Sean and I have talked a lot about this. The goal of this work and our advocacy is to have strong, robust building trades, union workforce. Why is this goal so important? One of the reasons I've been particularly focused on now is because American workers are one of our country's greatest strategic comparative advantages relative to some of the big international challenges that we have related to our military, related to what's going on and with the dictatorships in Moscow and Beijing. I've been saying we are now in a new era of authoritarian aggression led by those dictatorships, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. We can win, democracy can win, if we take advantage of our comparative advantages. What are those? Natural resources, energy, our military strength, our global allies, and important, represented here, the American worker. We can deploy our workers, and nobody can compete against America's workers. I know China can build, but we can build better. Russia has energy and natural resources. We have more. We've seen this throughout our history during World War II, during the Cold War. Our American workers are better trained, better equipped, better supported, and when that happens, our country wins these big geopolitical contests. So we need to all work on this together. Our country is so much stronger when we work together on shared goals. The one that I'm working on to get my conference to support jobs that pay prevailing wage, that create dignity, strong, healthy communities. Permitting reform, energy independence, strong apprenticeship programs, all of which create a strong middle class, all of which create a strong America. Thank you again to all that you've done for my state, for our country. I'm honored again to be here, and I look forward to continuing our strong partnership. Thanks again, everybody. Appreciate it.